It's time now for Carter's Corner. Everything Bay Area sports on the Northern California Sports and Entertainment Network. Here is your host, Carter Kim.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Carter's Corner. I am Carter Kim here on Northern Lights Sports and Entertainment, bringing you all sorts of Bay Area sports, national sports, everything. But I'm here now to talk to you guys pretty much about everything. Later tonight, the Golden State Warriors are going to play the Washington Commanders, Nationals. No, they'll be playing the Washington Wizards, who are a perennial joke of basketball, so that'll be fun. But I'm hoping that we have a good night there. Free agency has started to get crazy. Garrett Cole just went back to the Yankees and got everything set up there. I'm a little surprised, but then again, a lot of people did mention that Garrett Cole is a big fan of the New York Yankees when he was younger. The Buccaneers and the Chiefs will play later tonight. It's going to be an interesting matchup. I feel like that's going to be good because both quarterbacks will be actually pretty solid for the most part. Azuna has also got picked up by the Braves. Darno just got declined, but we have a lot of great news happening in the baseball world, the basketball world, and everything else, but I'm here to report on it with you guys. I'm here to enjoy myself. I'm eating a cocktail bun right now, so. But yeah, let's see if we can get any other news at some point. If anyone has anything to bring to the table, I am here for it. Yep. Yeah, here we go. All right. All right. I mean, Greg Popovich. Oh, yeah. And also prayers up to Greg Popovich. Warriors legend Paul George playing tonight. I'm kidding. I mean, it was never going to happen. Listen, I don't think the Paul George thing was never going to happen, if I'm being honest. It was a bit of a far off thing. We could have all tried, but I do not think that it was ever going to. I didn't think it was ever going to happen, if I'm being totally honest. Sorry, I'm getting text. Okay. But yeah, I want the Giants to sign a lot of free agent pitchers so we can't trade our young pitchers for control, so we can trade our controllable pitcher for bats. If we can't get Soto, that is. Yeah, I agree with that entirely. Listen, if we can't get Soto, there needs to be serious consideration about rebuilding or something else crazy. But yeah, no sports tomorrow apparently, so that's gonna be crazy. So when will Soto sign? December? Knowing how Boris loves to be very careful about his clients and how they do business, I'm gonna say late November, mid-December of that, sometime of that nature. I don't think they're gonna rush it. They're gonna be as careful as they can. Listen. Soto wants to get all the details worked out, and the team, whichever one that signs him, has to be very meticulous about how they're going to do business with him. Because you got to get Soto the right amount of money, but you also got to be able to make sure that you have enough left over for your own cap and getting other free agents. Obviously, these teams are very rich, and we don't live in a salary capped league, but still, there's competitive balance tax. You have to worry about a number of things, but I do think Soto will be like later December, I think. Maybe mid-December. It's not going to be this month. I don't think it's going to be November. At least I don't think so. Food, sorry. But yeah, I can care less about the election. May watch it. I don't know. Listen. I've voted already But I'm just going to let it all burn in the background, if I'm being honest, because that's basically what American politics is. It's a dumpster fire. And honestly, have fun with other things. Have fun with sports, entertainment, and other stuff like that. American politics is a dumpster fire. I personally prefer not to always follow it, though I do think it's important. Let's just be careful about it. All about Adames, Soto, and Alonso. I mean, yeah, Alonso is going to be iffy. Alonso could go a lot of places. I mean, I'm wondering if no, he wouldn't go there, but the Mets could definitely go for him. That's for sure. There's sentimental value there for Pete as well. I mean, then we look at like New York, the other New York team. They are going to need a new first baseman after they got rid of Anthony Rizzo, so that's going to happen possibly. They're going to need to fill a hole there quickly. There's a number of places that could definitely use the services of a guy like Pete Alonso. Yeah. That's the problem with the Mets. I mean, I think what the problem with how the Mets played this year is very simple, in my opinion. They were just too good for their own good. I said this on another episode of Giant Sports Talk Live. Like, the plan was for the Mets last year, they were punting to 2025. Their plan was, okay, we're going to just see how we do. We're going to sign a bunch of mid-tier, okay free agents and basically be a market for teams that need, like, solid players for the postseason. And they had Severino, they had guys like Manaya, and a dozen or so other people where they were like, okay, let's see if we can bring these guys on board. And then if a team needs the services of someone like Manaya or Severino or even like Peter Alonso, then we can go get him. We can go pay him, and then we don't have to worry about this later. I mean, sorry, I got a couple messages coming in right now. But anyway, yeah, it's just the problem with the Mets is what they did. They were too good. They were just too good. The goal was to sell off a lot of guys like Sean Manaya, Luis Severino, Jose Iglesias, and a bunch of other like mid-tier guys like Bader and like a couple other people. I think that was their goal for 2024. It was, let's just see if we can be okay. And then at the deadline, we sell hard. The problem is they ended up being super good, despite their being seen as a sort of a mid-tier team, being a lull Mets again. And they started figuring it out, and they won. They won a lot of games, and they showed they could be one of the best. The problem was their plan got led awry. I mean, they couldn't bring up the younger players. They couldn't give opportunity to the younger guys. And that created an issue because it's like, well, what am I going to do? What's the plan now? Because it was at that point, that's why I always said about the Mets during the playoffs, like, if you don't win a World Series, then what the hell is the plan? Because you can't, do you just continue with the plan like you usually had, or what's up? I do think there is some merit to the idea that we need to, that the Mets can be really good in the future. The problem with now is that I'm wondering where they're going to go with the team. I mean, you have Francisco Lindor and Mark Vientos. That's huge. You have Francisco Alvarez. That's also huge. You have Kodai Senga. You have Brandon Nimmo locked up to a long-term contract. So right field, center field, second base, and first base. I wonder how the Mets are going to address that exactly, because they have a lot of players that can fill those roles. It's just, I wonder, like, how are y'all going to do this exactly? I mean, look around. I mean, the free agency market is all looking at one guy in particular. And at this point, in my opinion, everything else, all the other positions that you have in baseball, in my opinion, at the current positions you have, you need to just start developing them yourself. That's just my opinion, because looking at the prospects that they have, they just need to start developing from within, in my opinion, for the Mets. I mean, this can't be a free agency spending spree. They can do that. I think they can splurge hard on one piece and then start doing well. And the problem is the notion of, oh, we need to do this, that, the other thing. I mean, I can't see them being like, I can't see them always making free agency acquisitions, or otherwise, how are you going to get the younger prospects to develop into better players? I'm just confused at what the Mets are trying to do. I mean, especially considering how well Luis Angel Acuna played when he came up. I mean, he was hitting the ball hard. He was hitting at a good rate. I mean, he was fast as well, like his brother. I mean, I like how he was playing. I'm just wondering how it's all going to go, considering all the issues. I mean, the Mets, they don't have as many issues as they would normally, which is kind of good for the Mets. But the goal was to sell at the deadline and then start bringing up prospects and getting them to develop properly. I mean, and you didn't get to do that. And because of that, I'm not sure if that's going to bite you, but it's certainly going to be it's certainly changing your plans in a big way. And you don't necessarily want to do that. I mean, look at the prospects you have. Those dudes down on the farm. I mean, Acuna, guys like Rodriguez, Mauricio. I mean, again, I don't know all these guys from like personal experience or anything, but these are supposedly top prospects that they traded for from like a bunch of other teams that they sold to. I mean, I'd figure they'd have a plan for them somehow. Sorry, message. But yeah, yeah, we are looking at like an interesting free agency for sure. But one thing I also want to talk about is the Golden State Warriors, man. We have been playing super well, like super well. We've been really good as of late. A big test is going to be coming up down the stretch. We're going to be playing Boston, Cleveland, Oklahoma City, Dallas, Memphis. The Clippers are a joke, so I don't know. The Washington Nationals, the Commanders. No, not the Commanders. These are the freaking man. This just shows how irrelevant the Wizards as a franchise are. The Washington Wizards. I care more about the baseball teams. I would probably call them the Blue Jackets. I mean, Buddy Hield could be an all-star this year. No, he's been absolutely fantastic. I love how Buddy's been playing, especially with the absence of Steph. He's filled the role of need. We needed a two guard that had a shooting ability. He's been great. I like how he's playing. I think he's working well with Brandon Pajemski and Wiggs and a bunch of those guys. The split actions are working right. I mean, I just love the way they're playing right now, and I cannot wait to see what will happen when Steph's back, when Wiggs is fully healthy. I mean, I think there's opportunity there, in my opinion. I mean, we haven't played a lot of great teams so far, obviously, but I mean, we're looking good right now. I mean, we're playing the Wizards next, which isn't exactly a tough challenge, but I mean, I mean, we're not playing a tough team, a particularly good team, but we could certainly, I think we'll do well against them, especially at that Capital One Arena, which is like one of the most desolate places in sports. But man, I can't even, do Wizards fans exist? I know I troll a lot about teams having no fans, but do Wizards fans actually have any fans on the team? Seriously? Like, do they have fans? I'm confused. I don't know. But yeah, I'm like looking at these down the stretch. We'll have a lot of good teams to play, but I'm hoping that we continue to do well because I like how we've been playing as of late, and I think that we can really show our mettle against a couple of different teams, especially defensively. We've been fantastic. But yeah, I love how Buddy's been playing. I love how Brandon's been playing. I think there's just been so much great depth to the team. I mean, I'm looking at all the other players. I'm looking at guys like Trayce Jackson-Davis. I mean, guys like Pajemski, Draymond's still here. Kuminga's been doing well. Wiggs, D'Anthony Melton, Gary, and Moses. I mean, there's opportunity for this team. Basketball talk. Baseball is officially over. I mean, I'm always here for the off season, Johnny. Always. I mean, I was talking about Cole and a bunch of other stuff, but there hasn't been a lot of baseball news. There's been very little movement, if I'm being totally honest. I mean, it's just been. Really want to extend him? They aren't extend. What? No way they. Okay, this is Newsweek, so it's kind of bad. It's kind of a bad place to ask, but it's like, dude, no way they don't re-sign Walker Buehler. Are you kidding me? If they don't re-sign Walker Buehler, it would be crazy. They're gonna re-sign Buehler, I think, but if they don't, that'd be so surprising. Oh my gosh. But yeah, basketball's in full swing again. I mean, yeah, baseball is over for the most part, but I'm going to be talking this offseason, Johnny. Don't worry about that. I mean, I'm always here to talk baseball, but the problem is there's not much news. That's the problem. Cole Stanton in NY, yeah. Apparently he just did I think it was a renegotiation, or he came back on on a specific part of the contract. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, apparently he's staying with them on the existing deal or something of that nature. Existing deal he opted out of. Two sides will continue to discuss potential extension options. Okay, so they're still talking about extension. But yeah, he opted out of the remaining 4 years of existing contract on Saturday. And they could have added 1 year and a $36 million deal, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, apparently they're going to also be discussing an extension. Niners job. I'm not even going to say those words. There was a glimmer of hope if we could steal him. Oh, well, I mean, I don't know what it is about the Yankees and stealing great players from us, but it just seems to be a very good thing that they do. I mean, Garrett, I don't think Garrett would have came here anyway, because Garrett was just like, he's a contending pitcher, and he's not really a guy who's, I mean, like, look at the teams he's played on. New York, Houston. The teams that he's played on have almost always been competitive teams. And both those teams have made it to the World Series within the past 10 years, or even multiple times. So, I mean, looking at all those things considered, Garrett was never really going to come here. That would have been cool, though. I would have enjoyed Garrett Cole playing in Giants Orange, but the odds of that happening were obviously low. Man, what is it with freaking... Man, Paul George got injured before the season even started and was like, you know what? I'm just going to chill out here for a little bit and collect my money. He'd love to pitch at Oracle, I bet. His stats would get even better. No, they would get really good. The thing is about Oracle Park, it is a pitcher's ballpark. A lot of the time, I argue it's actually much easier for, like, really good hitters. But it's not easy for, like, average hitters or, like, even above average hitters. But Garrett would have done a really good job, I think. I'd like to think Webb ain't safe from being traded. Sure, Buster caught him, but he caught a majority of the relievers. Does that mean they're safe too? Nah, I don't think so either. I mean, like, the likelihood of Logan being traded is obviously very little, in my opinion. I mean, I say this all the time. This is what I believe is needed. If you are looking to build a championship team, you need 3 things in your pitching staff, in my opinion. Giants could go after Flaherty or Buehler. Okay, I think there's an issue with both those guys. It's not because they're bad players. It's this. Flaherty grew up in Burbank, and, you know, Dodgers fan, obviously. I mean, who else would you root for if you were down in Burbank? Unless you were a hipster Angels fan. But and Buehler, I don't know. Buehler just doesn't feel like a guy who would want to go to the Giants. I mean, both those guys are literally in the best situation possible, and the Dodgers are definitely going to pony up the dough, and they both have incentives to stay. So it's like, I don't really see a reason why they would go here. It's not about, like, them being bad players. They're really, really good, and the Dodgers are going to want to retain them. And besides, those two are lifers for that team, and they're going to be. That's all. But yeah. But as for what Markatna is saying about Logan, I mean, sorry, I'm getting texts. But anyway, yeah, I'm sick of being the Dodgers retirement home or being MLB's quadruple A team. No, that is kind of what we are, though. It's like a lot of the people that Farhan brought on were either like Dodger rejects or people that the Dodgers didn't want anymore, or just a bunch of quadruple A guys. Like, they just weren't that good. But yeah, it's got to be a different direction. But as for the Logan Webb thing, this is what my belief is about championship teams. You need 3 really good pitchers, and they have to do these things. One pitcher has to be a innings eater, a guy who can go deep into games at a consistent rate and play very well. You need a hard-throwing lefty with great ability, and then you need an ace. You need those 3 things in order for a team to be really good. That for us, that was for that third guy. You have to have innings eater, hard-throwing lefty, and an absolute dynamo. That's my opinion. And for us, that was innings eater was Matt Cain, hard-throwing lefty was Madison Bumgarner, and Tim Lincecum was our dynamo, who was so good. So I personally don't see a guy like I don't see a guy like Webb being traded because he could provide value as an innings eater. I know that we shouldn't need an innings eater nowadays, especially in the modern day of baseball, where you don't need a guy to be going 8 innings, 7 innings, or even 6 innings sometimes. You want a guy to go at least 6 or 7 innings, but you don't necessarily need it anymore. But it is helpful. But so I don't – he's not entirely safe. He would be a really good pitcher for a team to get, and he could fetch prospects if we wanted to get them. But I just don't see him being traded. That's the thing. I just don't see him being traded. But yeah, I really can say that the offseason is going to be interesting for this. I mean, oh yeah, and the Sharks. I don't know how this is happening, but the Sharks somehow won a couple games. We won 3 games in a row, but then we got smacked back down to earth by the Canucks. So that's just great. But yeah, I don't know. We won 3 games. I guess we're doing okay. I don't know. Maybe we're doing better. And this is all with the kid injured. So oh, he's gonna be returning Tuesday, so that's great. But yeah, I really hope that kid can become something special. Because we need him to be something special in order for this team to return to relevance. But yeah, oh my gosh. Again, like this is when the sports are all crossing over at the perfect time. I mean, baseball just ended, so we're back to football, basketball. Baseball is here to stay, even though it's the off season. I mean, we're going to have fun with it, you know? But yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the news. There's not a lot of like big news right now. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff happening, but I mean, Garrett Cole's staying with the team. There's the Gold Glove. Oh, by the way, congratulations to Patrick Bailey and Matt Chapman winning Gold Gloves this year. It's a great accomplishment. They did absolutely fantastic so far. They've been great. So congratulations. Was on Blue Jays channel for a little bit earlier. Apparently they're going all in for Juan Soto and be willing to offer him the contract he's seeking. I mean, I'm not surprised at that. We all talked about how the owners of the Blue Jays are super they're deep pocketed with cash. The problem is, in my opinion, I think any team that Juan Soto is going to go to, he's going to be paid the minimum of $600 million, if not $650 million at the minimum. I wonder if they'll be tracking his plane too. I think they'll probably be like, oh God, hope he's coming. But yeah, anyway. But what I was going to say is I think Soto is the money is going to be the biggest thing. So if they are throwing him a lot of money, he'd be hard pressed to take it. But there's something else I think him and Scott Boras and his people are going to consider is, am I going to be able to play well, or am I going to have other guys around me that I can say, you know what, I trust these guys to play well as well? Because that's not always the case. I mean, the Blue Jays, in my opinion, are an absolute mess. They keep hiring back that one bum, John Schneider, even though he's a terrible manager. I mean, you're looking at all these problems. The pitching staff is, other than Jose Barrios, that pitching staff is in shambles. I mean, there's opportunity. if they were going to try and get Juan Soto, Soto would be hard pressed to take the money that they're offering him. But it's hard for me to say, oh, yeah, it'll totally be the Blue Jays. I mean, if the Mets offered him the same amount of money, then he'd want to go there instead because the Mets have a better team than them. Watch the Dodgers sign Soto, Sasaki, Burns, and trade for Robert Jr. and Bichette. God, that would be the absolute worst. No, it would be horrifying for us. But honestly, the Dodgers, as much money as they don't have that much. Listen, they have a lot of money. I'm not going to say, oh, no, they totally can't do. Listen, they could totally get one of those guys or even two of them. I think they're going to mainly be focusing on Roki Sasaki, though, because Sasaki is a guy that is really good, but that he's the future of their team. I mean, you look at Yamamoto and Sasaki, that's the future of baseball for them. I mean, I think they would definitely be focused on guys like that. I think Soto is a really good player that they would definitely want. But the question is, are they going to be able to pay him? Because, yes, they could definitely try to, and they would probably be able to get him if they wanted to. But the problem is they already have a perfectly good lineup. I mean, yeah. Sasaki is a generational talent here in Japan. We call him the monster. I mean, I'm not surprised. He's really good from what I hear. I just don't, I mean, like, I think even though Miguel Rojas has been really good this last year, I don't think they're going to keep him on, even though he's really good. I think he's a great player. Miguel Rojas, they're going to try and get younger at shortstop. They don't want to put Mookie back there. They'll probably go, I'd say they're going to go get Adames and a pitcher, either Sasaki or somebody like Burns, I think. Max Fried might be a guy that they go after. Fried's also a guy from whatchamacallit. He's from that area of Los Angeles, so that could be huge. I mean, you look at all these things. I mean, like, they also have to re-sign a couple people. They have to re-sign Buehler. They have to re-sign Flaherty if they were going to re-sign him. I mean, Flaherty is a fantastic player, so I would definitely be inclined to go get him if I was the Dodgers or get him back. But, like, they're already they have so much money to pay to so many different people. And you don't want you don't want Flaherty and Buehler hitting the open market, in my opinion, if you're the Dodgers. But I would say my opinion would definitely be something along the lines of, let's try and, like, my opinion, if I was the Dodgers, I'd be preparing for the future. And most of all, I'd be preparing for the future. So I'd go get Sasaki. And I say this as a Giants fan, okay? Listen, you need to be able to protect your future because Mookie Betts is getting older. Freddie Freeman is getting older. A lot of the guys that are really good on your team right now are getting older. Listen, Shohei isn't a spring. He's 30. He's 29, I believe, right now. He's going to turn 30. Obviously, his way of playing baseball won't be too affected by his age, but it's also like you have to be super careful, in my opinion, as the Dodgers. Like, you can't keep signing a bunch of older guys, as good as these guys might be. I mean, Burns is also a little older. I mean, that wouldn't prevent them from Soto, but I'm saying, like, I mean, they already have the outfield pretty set, if I'm not mistaken. Andy Pages is going to take over center field next year, if I'm not mistaken. You look at a guy like, I don't know, whatchamacallit, Teoscar. That's another thing. They have to go get Teoscar Hernandez back, Buehler, Flaherty. I mean, there's so many really good pitchers and hitters that they have that are about to hit the open market, and they might not want to let those guys go. Yes, you might want to go after Robert Jr., but Robert Jr. isn't going to be able to fit the Dodgers because Andy Pages is going to be in center field. Unless you want to move Pages over. In that case, well, that's going to be an issue too. I mean, looking at what I'm watching right now, coming out of Dodgers camp, it's interesting. There was news on Fuzzy's channel that many people from the Dominican Republic lied about their age. I wonder if that's true for Soto. I mean, I don't know about that. Soto doesn't feel, I mean, I look at Juan Soto. I don't think he's like 30. I don't think he's 30. I mean, he feels like he's 25. I mean, if he's 30, then I'll eat my hat. I will admit my faults, but he doesn't feel like he's 30. I mean, I look at him, I'm like, is he really 30? I mean, like, no, I think he's 25, 26 years old. I mean, some guys who are like that, I mean, you look at me. Do I look 19 years old? No, I look a little older than that, especially with my beard. But it's like I don't think that I would not be inclined to say, "Oh yeah, Soto's totally like he's 30." No, he's 25, 26 years old. He's still a young man. But as for Robert Jr. and Bichette, I mean, I don't know what their plan at shortstop is. Are they going to put Mookie back there? Because I don't think that's a good idea at all, considering how well Mookie played in right field. I mean, I'd be inclined to say something a little more practical, like go get Adames or something like that. Adames would definitely be a guy where they'd be like, oh yeah, like that would be a guy you can solidify shortstop for a good amount of time. And then they have third base covered by Muncy. They have to pay him too. Jesus. They've already paid Will Smith, so catcher's locked down. Left field, they need to go pay Teoscar. I mean, they just have so many different guys that they need to pay before they hit the open market. Jason Dominguez is definitely not 21. Oh, Jason Dominguez. I don't know. He doesn't look old though. I mean, no, he doesn't look old. He looks, I mean, I don't know. I don't think he's, it's hard for me to judge. Listen, it's hard to judge age on a person's appearance. He's really good, though. He is a fantastic player, Jason Dominguez. I hope that the Yankees figure the hell out. Like, are you going to bring him up or not? Is there a plan for Jason Dominguez in the cards, or are you just going to be like, oh, yeah, let's just putz around with the situation? Again, this isn't to fault the Yankees entirely, but dude, you guys got to get serious. You got to get really serious right now. I'm just saying, like, after the disgrace you put on in the World Series, you got to have good fielding. I mean, yeah. Here we go. Yeah, Bobby. Just looking around at the information right now. But yeah, I mean, this offseason is going to be intriguing because it'll mean a lot for prospects as well. Depending on what the Mets do, in my opinion, the Mets will be very affected by what the moves they make because it can affect, like, what's Acuna going to do? You know, are we going to have middle infielders being brought up? Because, I mean, look at how well Frankie just did. I mean, like, I know Francisco Lindor is obviously a little older, but he's still fantastic. I mean, he just seems to be aging like wine. It's just, I think that there is a lot to talk about this free agency. There's going to be a lot to worry about for teams. I mean, there's opportunity. It's interesting for sure. I mean, there's going to be a lot to do for a lot of teams, especially the Giants, though, because we have our whole future is right in front of us right now. And if we don't get it together, we're going to be in trouble. I mean, you got to hope that this team can figure it out because, yeah, I'm just worried. Let's go Dodgers and Lake. Okay, listen. Listen, I'm welcoming to most people here. I'm welcoming to everybody in the sports community here. As long as y'all aren't just hating on each other, I'm cool. Just welcome to the show. Stay a while if you're interested in what I have to say. But yeah, the Dodgers, though, they have so much talent coming off the books. I mean, Buehler, Flaherty. You look at guys like Teoscar. I mean, Andy Pages is going to come up and probably play well in center field for a while. I'm looking at like the positions of need that they have. They might go get Adames. Right field's going to be covered by Mookie. I mean, at least I hope it's covered by Mookie because if they put him back at shortstop, I'm going to be pissed. Like, dude, you can't keep wasting a Gold Glove talent in shortstop. That's just my opinion, though. Oh my gosh. Man. And he already got scripted? Man. Jesus. All right. I mean, Carter, and guys, when you have time, watch the Goose Gossage interview from a few days ago. You'll love it. It'd be crazy if the Lakers lost to Detroit. I mean, yeah, Detroit's a disaster, if I'm being honest. The Detroit Pistons. The funny thing is, last year when they were that bad, I mean, they were actually trying to be good. They were trying to be good last year. I mean, it didn't make sense. I mean, sorry. Goose Gossage. I mean, yeah. He calls out people in today's MLB, including Rob Manfred, like even talking about punching him in the face. I mean, yeah, I mean, you got to be careful about baseball. Yeah. Tobias and Malik Beasley pretty good. I mean, yeah, Tobias and Malik Beasley are pretty good. I'm just like thinking about like last year, like, were they actually trying to be good last year? Because they played hilariously bad. I mean, I think y'all will be fine for the most part. Like, I don't think they'll be able to deal with the front court with LeBron and AD down there. I don't think they'll be able to deal with a lot of the guard play that they have going on up top. I think Cade might be able to do okay, but then you're going to have defensive players switch. I mean, you're going to be fine. It's Detroit, man. You'll have it all under your control. But yeah. Johnny, I'll go check out that interview later for sure. Just bring that over here. I mean, yeah, it just there are a couple issues with baseball, but yeah, not sure if that link worked, but it's on Jimmy Rex's channel. Okay, fair enough. I mean, I'll go check it out. But yeah, I think that there's going to be, I think baseball, I'm just hoping it doesn't turn into a parody league like the NFL or something else like that. Because if we have continuous parody, then we're going to have issues in everything. But yeah, I just really hope baseball ends up being, it continues to grow, but it doesn't have to be a sport consisting of endless parody and insanity. But yeah. What else is there to talk about? Because I'm looking for news right now. I need some news. Give me some news. Oh yeah, the Lakers. Oh yeah, I remember. Jason Tatum was picked over. They picked, I think it was Alonzo Ball over Jason Tatum. Hold on. Let me check. Jason Tatum draft class. 2017 NBA draft. I mean, yeah, they picked Jason Tatum, Lonzo Ball over Jason. Dude, it's crazy how like the best players in that draft fell so far, even though they were so much better than all the other guys. I mean, Markelle Fultz and Lonzo Ball were picked over Jason Tatum, De'Aaron Fox, Lauri Markkanen, Donovan Mitchell, Bam Adebayo, guys like even really good players like OG Anunoby and Jarrett Allen. Even a dude like Kyle Kuzma was picked over all those guys. Josh Hart was better than a lot of these guys too. I mean, like, it's just so surprising to me, the logic of NBA drafting. Yeah. He rips into the whole sabermetrics and analytics thing. Listen, I've said this about analytics and sabermetrics. They are very useful tools because you can see the wrinkles of baseball in an interesting way. It's just, here's the problem with sabermetrics and analytics in today's baseball. If you are endlessly reliant on the information that sabermetrics and analytics gives you, you will lose endlessly. You know why the Dodgers didn't win until this year? Because of the issues of analytics. I mean, look at what Dave Roberts did in a lot of those situations in Boston against Houston. Again, Houston was a very much not their fault, okay? But the Nationals, along with the Braves and a bunch of other teams, like all of those mistakes were due to Dave Roberts over managing because of the analytics. Lefty, righty, righty, lefty, this information, that information. It was like, what are you doing? even as a baseball fan, I'm not a Dodgers fan, but as a baseball fan, I'm like, dude, like, what is your decision making here? So I do think analytics and sabermetrics can be useful. It's just you have to be careful, in my opinion. You can't be over reliant on it. Listen, when Bruce Bochy was making his decisions, he never always made analytics the main choice he had. He was always making decisions based on, oh yeah, I think this guy can do it against this pitcher because of this reason or that reason. But yeah, I mean, there's opportunity in my opinion for analytics to thrive in this game, but I think analytics and sabermetrics are merging with like the old school style of baseball with base stealing and power and hitting and everything else. Like, I think there's a certain merge in it all. And I think that like how stealing bases and bunting was so in vogue like a few years ago. Now it's being done all the time because analytics has said that it's so in vogue to steal bases or make decisions like that. That's a bad idea. But now we're doing it again, and it's like, okay, and it's working because the rules of baseball are different now. And now you can do things because sabermetrics have said, oh yeah, don't do that. And now people are like, oh yeah, since people think we won't do that, now we're going to do it. But I think that baseball's dynamics are changing a lot. And I think there is a lot of worry that this league can change in a lot of ways. And I think people don't like that idea. I mean, like, it reminds me of something this Boston Red Sox executive said. Like, when people like get in these situations, that's affecting their livelihood and their jobs. And whenever they get afraid of it, they go bat crazy. Analytics will never predict the randomness of baseball. A good chunk of it needs to be based off feel and watching with your eyes. I mean, exactly. I mean, like, all the analytics say that the Phillies were going to beat the Mets this year and go to the NLCS and play the Dodgers. Did they do that? No, because the Phillies were massively better. The Mets were massively better in every statistic. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Just think about it this way. Like, the analytics all say that the Mets were going to lose to the Phillies by a lot. The Phillies had better hitting, better pitching. But analytics can't take into account the bats just suddenly turning off like it did for the Phillies. Or like with San Diego and their bats suddenly just turning off entirely. You can't predict the randomness of baseball. Yes, you do. Yes, analytics can be very predictive of what's going to happen, but you can't say for sure. Yes, some things can happen because of analytics. And you might say, oh yeah, like analytics predicted this, but it can't predict the randomness. That's the problem with baseball. You can't predict randomness. I remember a very specific situation this season. It was up in Seattle when we were playing the Mariners. Tyler Rogers was left on the mound despite the fact he had 2 runners on base and no outs. The best thing we could have done there is bring in Ryan Walker and have him lock down that inning. And we don't do that. We left him out there to die. And even though the analytics say, oh yeah, Tyler Rogers will actually be okay, it doesn't account for randomness, momentum, that's the thing that analytics cannot do. It can't calculate the randomness. It can't calculate shifts in momentum. It can't calculate, little things that happen that can change the entire course of the game. It can't do that. That's up to the feeling of the manager and how it is. Yes, I'm gonna agree with a lot of analytical managers and analytical thinkers. Statistics can be very important in baseball, but you cannot use it as the main way to make decisions in the game. Outside of the game and building a team, I understand using sabermetrics and analytics, but you can't do this when you're deciding in a game whether to pull a pitcher, pinch hit somebody, or make decisions like that. Are you going to pinch hit Barry Bonds just because he's going up against another lefty? That is what I would ask. Like, would you pinch hit Barry Bonds for a righty if he's going up against another lefty? You would not do that because that doesn't make any damn sense, does it? Because analytics say, oh yeah, Barry Bonds shouldn't go up against a lefty. Or maybe, but even the analytics say, oh yeah, lefty righty, like lefty, like you shouldn't have a lefty go up against another lefty. But this is Barry Bonds. You can't calculate that in analytics. You can't calculate that in statistics. Any side that says, oh yeah, we should totally be like, oh yeah, like analytics has to be the way. those people are bad because that can be dangerous for the game. And anybody who says, oh yeah, it needs to be like, it needs to be old school baseball, pure and simple. It needs to be like how the guy looks, the feeling of the situation. Don't take a look at statistics at all. That's a problem too. That's what I think needs to be about baseball. We need to take these two crazy parts of baseball and find like that little like gray area where it's just perfect. The Dodgers found that this World Series. I mean, look at the Rangers last year. Look at what they did. They figured it out and they won a World Series because they had the perfect measure of statistics with Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, and a bunch of those other good prospects and younger players with good analytical stats. But you also had Bruce Bochy in his mind for baseball and experience. I mean, that's called happy medium. You need to have a happy medium when it comes to these two different ways of thinking about baseball. Because there is benefits to stealing bases and bunting. But there's also benefits to looking at pitching matchups and hitting matchups. I mean, there's a way you can look at this either very rigidly without any nuance, in my opinion, or you can look at this with a bit more like nuance. That's my opinion. You got to look at things with nuance. I've always been a believer in nuance when it comes to baseball and sports. So I say this, just like, oh, shoot. Oh, no, it stayed. So I say this, just when you're watching baseball, take everything into consideration. That's my opinion. Just take everything you see into consideration because things can change on the snap of a finger. You know, the randomness in baseball can cause chaos, and you don't necessarily want that to happen. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how the Giants manage the game now with Farhan gone. No, I really hope it takes a big change because what Farhan did was let's just go analytical approach. Like that's the biggest problem I had with Farhan all the time. Like there was just a lack of nuance when it came to managing baseball because in particular, managing hitters with percentages and analytics, that's a bit more clear cut. But when you look at pitching, for example, especially when it comes to bullpen management, analytical managers mess that up. Then again, old school managers mess up too. Remember when Grady Little kept Pedro in the game? Or when Buck Showalter, for some reason, didn't put Zach Britton in to face the Blue Jays? That's obviously a situation where it's like, oh, what the hell are you doing? But then you look at like the analytical meltdowns, like taking Blake Snell out of the game versus the Dodgers. That was a psychotic decision from Kevin Cash. I don't know why he would do that. What I'm trying to say is both sides can definitely mess up how they manage baseball games if they keep making decisions like based on purely what they're doing instead of taking into consideration other things. Because the old school way of baseball takes into consideration randomness, the general momentum of the game, and the issues that may contain, but then leaves out analytics and stats completely. Analytics takes into all consideration all the information, the stats, and all that other stuff, but leaves out the importance of randomness and momentum. It's about the happy medium is what I'm basically trying to say. But to talk what Johnny's saying, especially with Farhan gone, I mean, I'm just hoping that we make decisions that are not purely based on like, oh yeah, it has to be this way. I just don't trust that, man. We cannot be making decisions purely based on analytics. If we do that, it's going to be our downfall. But yeah, I got another like 30 seconds and I got to go because I have my first free day in a long time. I might go work out. I might go train for a little bit, have some fun doing that stuff. I mean, we'll see how all that goes, but hey, Morkatna, Johnny, Daniel, everybody else who came around, like, it's fun talking to you guys. I really appreciate, you guys just coming to talk to me about sports. Later tonight, go check out Eric and Glenn talking on Giant Sports Talk Live about the off season and whatever that's going to bring. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for coming by, showing some love and talking. But as always, see ya.
You've been watching the Northern California Sports and Entertainment Network, a Northern Lights Entertainment broadcasting station.